Good morning, students. Welcome back to my channel, Molecular Mysteries. Hope you are all fine out there. In the thumbnail itself, I have told you this class is all about the human muscular system. What is motor muscles and why is it so important to know about how muscle contracts and relaxes? So, muscles tissue is useful for the animals and humans to move the whole part of your body and also to maintain the particular posture. So the muscle cells are specially organized to convert the chemical energy into a mechanical work. So in vertebrates, it's been divided into three different types of muscles. They are straightened muscles, unstraightened muscles, and the cardiac muscles. These are all dependent on the voluntary action or the involuntary action. So you know what is the difference between voluntary action and involuntary action. So now in detail, let's talk about what are straightened muscles and all types of muscles. The straightened muscles are forming the main bulk of your body muscular system. They act very quickly and are under the voluntary control. Okay. On the next slide, we talk about how the structure of the straightened muscle looks like. So next goes about the smooth muscles. These smooth muscles are the unstraightened muscles and are present in the wall of most of the visceral organs. So hence they are called the visceral muscles. Okay. So in the last but not the least are the cardiac muscles. So these cardiac muscles are the very smooth muscles and they are only muscles which are involuntary in action. So it does not depend on anyone and it is completely involuntary. Okay. So now let's see how the structure of myofibril looks like. So before that we should talk about how the structure of the myofibril, sarcolemma and names of all. For that I want to talk about the structure of your sarcolemma and myofibril. What are all those myofibrils and all? So myofibrils are in cytoplasm of called the sarcoplasm. The sarcoplasm contains many peripherally arranged nuclei and many fibers called myofibrils are present. These are all present in the straightened muscles. So if you observe the diagram in the above, you can see how the myofibrils look like, and this is whole the entire muscles with um, I band and A band. This I'll talk in the next slide because that is how the muscle contraction and relaxation happens. So before that, you have to be well aware of how the muscle fiber look like. So it is sarcoplasmic reticulum. You have nucleus and you have sarcolemma. Okay, and this is how the myofibrils are all arranged. Okay, so this sarcoplasm also contains well formed mitochondria and also the sarcosomes. Okay, now what is actually the structure of myofibril? So myofibril mainly contains the alternate dark and light band. This is what I'm talking about. They are dark and light bands. This dark band is known as the anotropic band and I band is also called as isotropic band. Okay, so that is how you have a H band in the middle. So these keep on rotating and they keep on moving above each other, thus making a muscle contract and relax. Okay, now let's see how actually the muscle contracts, and for that I have given you a very simple diagram which gives you a small note of it. So this is how it looks like. When the nerve impulse reaches the neuromuscular junction, the sarcolemma gets depolarized. This depolarization releases many calcium ions into your sarcoplasmic reticulum. This released calcium ions would bind to the troponin of the thin filaments, that is leading to the exposure of your actin. Actin and myosin are very important for your contraction of your muscles. The cross bridges of myosin binds with the actin, forming the actinomyosin complex. This actinomyosin is a formation is very important for your muscle contraction. When this actinomyosin tilts over, swings and forms H zone, during which you will have the pulled over myosin filaments. Actin activates the myosin ATPase, which results in the release of energy from the ATP, and thus this ATP binds with the myosin, forming the cross bridges. Forming cross bridges is also important for your muscle contraction. So that is how the whole mechanism of your muscle contraction happens. So now let's also discuss about the muscle relaxation. So when muscle relaxation happens, the excitation of nerve is released, and due to which the sarcoplasmic reticulum absorbs more calcium ions from the sarcoplasm. Thus, the myosin ATPase activity is inhibited. The cross bridges are also broken down and finally releasing the calcium ions. Thus, it is getting the restoration of your relaxing muscle. That is how the process of relaxation of muscles happen. So, for easy understanding, I have given you a small picture coming under one note. If you want, I can also add more and more into the description box for your easy understanding of contraction and relaxation. Okay, till now hope you have completely understood the topic. And now I want to add one more thing. For the contraction of muscle, continuous supply of energy is needed, and that ATP is in the immediate source. You all know that, right? This ATP, as the ATP content is very low in the body, it is actively replenished by something called phosphogen. This creatine phosphogen is the form of ATP present in vertebrate muscles. Okay, and thus the creatinine phosphate binds with ADP, forming ATP and creatinine. Okay, that is how it is helping out for the muscle to contract. When the creatinine phosphate gets exhausted by over exercising, the third source of energy is utilized, which includes the oxidation of glucose. And the energy liberated in this process is again transferred to creatinine and ADP. That is how the muscle of contraction happens. So one more thing, please remember that during the rapid activity of the muscle, the respiratory system is unable to supply sufficient oxygen needed by it. Thus, the pyruvic acid produced by the glycolysis is transformed into lactic acid. You all know that lactic acid fermentation happens in anaerobic conditions like absence of oxygen. Why? Because whenever there is no proper supply of glucose, the pyruvic acid that is produced by the glycolysis undergoes anaerobic fermentation, leading to lactic acid. This lactic acid get accumulated in the muscle, leading to the formation of muscle fatigueness. Okay, and please remember, after the formation of lactic acid in the muscle, what happens? It is in the liver conditions. 80% of the lactic acid is again utilized, and resynthesis of glycogen happens, which returns back to the muscle. It is called the Kori cycle. Okay, I will also let you know about that in the description box. And hope you are clear with the topic of skeletal muscle. I'll talk about, sorry, muscular system. In the next class, I'll talk about the skeletal muscle. Thank you and have a nice day.